everybody, it's Alan with Hiking the Second Half of Life. This video was kind of done on request. Tony at Our World Outdoors requested I do a 1-year follow-up on the 3F UL Gear Lanshan 2. Bought this tent last winter from AliExpress. Got it, I think I got it in February when I came in. It took about 3 weeks to get here. And some of the reasons why I chose this tent. First of all, I had never done backpacking before. If you saw my original video where I did my gear loadout, I talk about it a little bit. When I started doing research in the backpacking world, I realized some of the stuff's really expensive, especially the big three. So when I first saw $300, $500, $600 tents, I was like, holy crap, I didn't realize tents were that expensive. So I started doing a lot of research, and I started seeing videos about this tent. And two of the people who really kind of helped sell me on this tent, have had it probably longer than I have, are Tom Walker from Following Walker's World, and another one is Senior Hiker 77. Both these guys have had this tent, have done multiple, probably the best reviews I've seen out there of this tent. Tom Walker had it all over the place. He had it on the John Muir Trail, he's had it in the Smokies. Senior Hiker has both the 3-season and 4-season inners for his tent. So I'm going to put their channels in the description so you can definitely check out the reviews they've done. But back to what I was thinking, I was like, I really want to get into the sport, but what if I don't like it? And I don't want to drop $600, $700 on a tent, and then another $200, $300 on a sleeping bag, and then the sleeping pad, another $200. I mean, you're talking $1,000. So I'm like, where can I cut costs just in case it doesn't work out for me? Well, fortunately, it did work out for me. And fortunately, I chose to buy this tent, which I got on AliExpress. I think I paid $105 for it last year. I'm going to talk about the tent a little bit. You've seen a lot of reviews on it. I'm really going to kind of show you how it's held up for the last year with me. I've had it out. And I'm also going to kind of talk to you about the pros and cons of the tent. Ironically, when Tony had asked me kind of to do this review, literally within a week, Dixie from Homemade Wanderlust had posted about how she was doing a comparison to the 3F UL Gear Lanshan 1 and a Z-Pec Solplex tent. And it was interesting, she'd put a picture up saying she was going to review the tent. I had made a comment on it, and actually Dixie then asked me on social media, specifics about especially seam sealing this tent or the 3F tent, and I kind of gave her my feedback on it. So her video came out last week. Again, I'll put a link to her channel. Most of you probably follow it anyway, but I'll put a link to her channel. I thought she did a really nice job. Now, I'm a little biased about Dixie. I think she's one of the main inspirations for me getting into backpacking. When I started following her channel, it was like, boy, this girl's living her life the way she wants to live it. She's doing some things she really wants to do. I'm going to try it. So Dixie, salute to you. But I thought you did a really nice job in your comparison video. I thought you were fair-minded on everything, and you gave great pros and cons as you always do with your products. A brief overview of this tent. The Rainfly is 15D sil nylon. The bathtub is 20D sil nylon. They're pretty durable. Now, if you saw, as I was setting up the tent, I do have a Tyvek ground sheet that I put underneath it just for peace of mind. Plus, I'm gonna have my dog in there with him. I would like a little more protection. So, I think it's fairly durable considering, having it a year. I've had no tears, no issues with that. I'll kind of show you the tent as we go around. But I think the fabric's good enough. I know the issue with sil nylon is with regard to holding water. Well, I'm not doing, a through hike. I'm doing 2, 3, 4 day hikes, and normally I can get the water off the tent, or at least have it hanging off my pack if I need to while I have it. So I'm not carrying all this extra water weight, where Dyneema obviously does shed the water a lot better. Now the tent itself, I'm 5'11", a little short of 6 foot, and I have plenty of headroom sitting in this tent. I also have plenty of leg room as I'm laying in here. Definitely not a 2-person tent with one of the persons is my size. I know Tony and his wife fit in theirs, but I would probably say it's a tight squeeze. With me and Bowie, it's a good fit, but he's a 70-pound dog, not a full-size human. But I don't have any problem with leg room. Don't have any problem with touching the tent at all when I'm laying in it. I have plenty of room. I usually have my pad over here, and I still have plenty of room inside the tent for me to move around, for me to have things in here. Now with regard to how I pitch the tent, I set my trekking poles at 48 inches or 120 centimeters. That gives me enough ventilation, even though, as you can see, it's off the ground a little bit. I really don't have any problem seeing people seeing me in it or underneath it, but it does help with ventilation. If I felt I needed a little more protection, I'd probably drop it down to 46 inches or 115 centimeters. But for me, I think the height I set it at works really well. Plus the fact that that's the height of my trekking poles when I'm hiking, so I don't have to adjust things when I get to camp, so it works out nice. Now one of the things I like about this tent is I have dual sets of doors and vestibules. So as you can see, I've got the vestibule pulled out here, not real tight. I still gotta adjust that. And then on the other side, I've got the whole end wide open. If I had another person with me, you can definitely go out the other side. This is usually the way I have it set up. I usually have, as you can see, my packs in the one vestibule. I'll usually keep my camp trail shoes right there when this vestibule door is shut. I usually have my Z seat here so I can either sit on it or kneel on it. Then I'll throw a few extra things on the other side of the vestibule on the other side. So it really works out nice for me as far as being able to keep things outside of my tent and only being able to have my pad, my sleeping bag, and some clothes inside the tent. The pockets are nice. I know some people don't like them. I think they're pretty nice. I put my electronics. I'll put my headlamp in there, and there's one on each side. You can see, I'll go inside. Bear with me, the dirt. I haven't cleaned this out since we got the Mohican, so this video kind of helped me have a reason to set it up and clean it out. Do have hooks at the top. Excuse my fingers. I'm going to actually run a line across here. I haven't done it yet. So I can have a little clothesline hanging in the tent while I'm in it. Give me something to hang a few things in. But as you can see, I just think the floor is not super strong. But like I said, I got the Tyvek underneath, so I think I have peace of mind with regard to that. The inside is plenty for a full-grown man like me and all my stuff and having a dog. And one of the things I'm not a big fan of about this tent, I think the zippers are kind of weak. Bear with me, I'm going to take the vestibule down and pull them out. I know I've seen other videos where everybody says this zipper's fine, but the one down here is kind of hard to pull on, especially with one hand. You just have to play with it. It's kind of a pain, so you have to end up having two hands for it. Fortunately for me, there's been no tears in the netting. I've had no problem with regard to the zippers catching. It's just that they're kind of flimsy and they're not real strong, so you have to use two hands, which I guess that's a first world problem. As you can see, it's a double wall tent. The rain fly pulls away. I've got the side lines staked out, and I'll show you all in a minute. This really helps with ventilation. It does a nice job. I really have never had any condensation, and I've had this tent in rain for 13 straight hours. I've had it through a few thunderstorms. Not a lot of snow. It snowed a little bit at Mohican, but nothing major. But that's the one thing I like about the double wall tent. One thing I'll agree with Dixie on, that when she did the comparison with the Z-Pax tent and the Lanshan, is I wish the zipper door was the full door. As you can see, it's only half the door, so you have a little less room to work with if you want to cook in the vestibule, which I've never done yet. I might, but I haven't done that yet. So it would be nice if they had the full door zippered. But again, small problem, not a major problem. Another thing I don't like is I don't like what a pain it is to hook up the vestibule doors at times. This hook here, there it is right here. It's kind of hard to latch it onto at times. I'll see if I can do it and not screw up the video. Just you have to pull really tight. It doesn't catch really well. So trying to do this in the middle of the night with one hand, it's kind of a pain. I'll show you what it looks like when it is hooked up. As you can see, it is hooked, but it took me a little bit of work to get it. And then I've had it where I've gotten in the middle of the night and I'm trying to unhook it, and I'm hanging out the door, and it's kind of a pain. Last thing I don't like the original stakes that came with the tent. They're kind of chintzy, they're small, they don't really hold well. I do use two of them. I use them on the side pullouts here because they need the least amount of tension. So what I've done is I've replaced the 6 main ones where I need the most tension with MSR groundhogs, and they do great. They hold the tent in place well. Never had any problem with getting them in hard ground. Never had any problem with them holding. So that's the thing that I would say of the tent that I kind of don't like, or that I feel some improvement could be used. I do know with the new Lanshans, they have the new kind of shepherd hooks from what I've seen, but even those look kind of flimsy as far as quality. So if you have a newer tent, Tony, maybe you can tell me what you think. But I'm glad I bought the groundhogs for the 6 main stakes on this tent. As far as the rainfly itself, the biggest problem I've had is just a little dirt and a little fading. It's a little yellowed over here. I don't know if it's going to show up on the video, so it's a little faded and a little light, but you know, you have a tent outside, so what do you expect? But the rainfly itself, there's been no tears, no leaks. You know, when Dixie had asked me, you know, did I seam seal? And yeah, the seam part I seam sealed, and the part that everyone has seam sealed are these 2 side tiles right here, where you can see where it's sewn in. Definitely worth doing. Peace of mind. I know some people also seam seal up here. You can see it's a level where it's sewn here. I can see why you do that. I've had no problem with any leaking, but you know, definitely because this takes a lot of tension, probably wouldn't hurt to do it. Wouldn't be a big deal to do it. The thing I like about the tent, first of all, it's not that heavy. It's a little under 2.5 pounds, including the stakes. I like that it's a double walled tent. You can actually detach the rainfly, flip it over, and you can see the stars. I haven't been able to do it because every time I go backpacking it rains. So hopefully this season I'll get a clear night and I'll detach it. Now you can only really, I guess there is a way to do it where you can take the rainfly all the way off. You have to flip your trekking poles over, and I'm not going to hassle with that. Maybe one day, but not now. But I will eventually like to detach one side, probably the side where my head is, and flip it up and be able to see the stars at night one time. Again, what I said about the double wall, I like the fact that it helps with condensation a lot. I like that it's a trekking pole tent because I have trekking poles and I have to use them, so I'm bringing them anyway. I don't have to bring any other stakes or poles for it. So basically, I don't have to adjust them. I bring them in, and my trekking poles are taken care of. I know people that have cork-handled trekking poles have problems with critters chewing on the cork. Well, my cork buried up here, so I'm gonna have to take an acrobatic critter who, if Bowie's with me, he's gonna have to get past him. So that's kind of nice. I be able to use multiple items for multiple functions. And the last thing I like about the tent was obviously the price. For the value you get for this tent, I think there's no better tent on the market, in my honesty. Are there better quality tents? Certainly. Are there lighter tents? Certainly. But for what you pay for this tent, even if you buy it at Amazon under the Mirror or the Flames Creed name, you really dollar for dollar, pound for pound, it's the best tent on the market in my opinion. I'm a little biased, but I really think it is. So that's my review of the 3F UL Gear Lanshan 2, 1 year in. I'm happy with it. I do think that I'm leaning toward getting the 4 Seasons inner. Again, see Hiker 77's video if you want to see how that is. He just changed it out last week or two. So, but really, if you're looking to start off into backpacking, or if you want to get a lighter tent, or if you're really worried about dollars and want budget and you're going to tent versus hammock, I would strongly endorse this tent. Well, everybody, I appreciate your time. I hope you liked my review 1 year in. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them down below. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear what you think. I am going to be hopefully meeting together some people from Ohio Facebook page, and they'll get to see the tent in person in a couple weeks. But I plan on getting on the trail here pretty soon. But right now I'm just enjoying a beautiful spring day here in Dublin, Ohio. Thanks for everything. Have a great day.